हरि ओम। भज मन राधे गोविंद,
भज मन राधे गोविंद,
भज मन राधे गोविंद,
भज
भज
मन राधे गोविंद,
मन राधे 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 गोविंद,
भज मन राधे 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 गोविंद,
भज मन राधे 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 गोविंद, भज मन वृंदावन संचारी, भज मन वृंदावन संचारी, भज मन राधे 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 गोविंद, भज मन राधे 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 गोविंद, भज मन यमुना तीर विहारी, भज मन यमुना तीर संचारी, भज मन राधे 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 गोविंद, भज मन राधे 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 गोविंद, भज मन राधे गोविंद, भज मन राधे गोविंद, भज मन राधे 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 गोविंद,
भज मन राधे 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 गोविंद,
भज मन राधे गोविंद,
भज मन राधे गोविंद,
भज मन राधे गोविंद,
भज मन राधे गोविंद।
राम कृष्ण हरि मुकुंद मुरारी,
राम कृष्ण मुकुंद मुरारी
राम कृष्ण हरि मुकुंद मुरारी
राम कृष्ण हरि मुकुंद मुरारी
पांडुरंग 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 हरि
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग राम कृष्ण हरि
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग राम कृष्ण हरि
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग राम कृष्ण हरि
श्री राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम
श्री राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम
श्री राम जय जय राम
श्री राम जय राम
राम कृष्ण हरि मुकुंद मुरारी
राम कृष्ण हरि मुकुंद मुरारी
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग राम कृष्ण हरि
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग राम कृष्ण हरि
राधे श्याम
श्याम राधे श्याम
राधा माधव राधे श्याम
राधा माधव राधे श्याम
राधे श्याम राधे श्याम
राधे श्याम राधे श्याम
राधा माधव राधे श्याम
राधा माधव राधे श्याम
राधा मुकुंद राधे श्याम राधा गोविंद 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 राधे श्याम
राम कृष्ण हरि मुकुंद मुरारी
राम कृष्ण हरि मुकुंद मुरारी
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग राम कृष्ण हरि
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग राम कृष्ण हरि
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग राम कृष्ण हरि
पांडुरंग पांडुरंग
राम कृष्ण हरि राधे गोविंद गोपाल जय गोविंद राधे गोपाल राधे गोविंद गोपाल जय गोविंद राधे गोपाल कृष्णा मधुसूदना मधुसूदना कृष्णा कृष्णा Krishna Madhusudana Madhusudana Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala Jai Radha Govinda Govinda Gopala He Govinda Gopala Jai Govinda Radhe Gopala Govinda Radhe Gopala Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki jai Varnanam Artha Sanghanam Rasanam Chandasam api Mangalanam cha Kartaro Vande Vani Vinayako Bhavani Shankaro Vande Shraddha Vishwasarupino Yabhyam Vina na Pashyanti Siddha Swantastamishwaram Nana Purana Nigamagama Sammatam Yad Ramayane Nigaditam Kvachinanyatopi Swanta Sukhaya Tulasi Raghunat Gatha Bhasha Nibandhamati Manjulamathanoti Bhasha Nibandhamati Manjulamathanoti Om Parthaya Pratibodhikam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Murina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaadhyayinim Amba Tvamanusandithami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Hari Om. Very special Hari Om to all people who are listening everywhere. You're in different cities, different countries and all. If you're joining us tonight for the first time, we are seeing Bhagavad Gita in Ramayana. Ramayana mane Ramcharitmanas of Goswami Tulsidas ji. Now, I said on first day that Ramayana is really a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. At the same time, Ramayana forms a drama for which Bhagavad Gita is the script of that drama. These are ways of looking at Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. That doesn't mean to say that there are no differences between Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana. You know that there are some differences also. You have to think about that. Otherwise, you'll say this Swami is telling Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana is same. There are some differences also. Everything's not same, but the Ramcharitmanas of Goswami Tulsidas ji really follows Bhagavad Gita very closely. Differences means, like for example, very clear difference. In the beginning itself, all of you would have seen that in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna became Sarathi. correct? Bhagavan Shri Krishna became Sarathi for Arjuna when he's charioteer for Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, correct? In Ramayana, Bhagavan is no Sarathi. Bhagavan Ram is not Sarathi at all. He is Maharathi. That's different. Maharathi is a technical term for one who commands a whole big, huge army like that. So Maharathi and Sarathi, they are two different things, you see. Bhagavan tells in Gita, I am not fighting. I will just sit here. I can drive the chariot and all that, but I will not do anything. I will not help in this war. Means I will not fight outwardly like that. He himself, help in the war means he himself shows in 11th chapter where he has already killed all of these Kauravas. That outwardly like that. But Bhagavan Ram is doing both. So this is some difference. Sarathi, Maharathi sort of thing. You can, those two words you can put. Anyway. So while there might be some differences like that, really behind the scenes, it is the same thing which is going on. Now here, I have chosen some verses from, I think this might be Balkand 121. Just 2 chopais before 121 in Balkand. Now I will chant these verses and then I'll tell the meaning of these verses. And then you can tell me if you have not heard this before. Not in Ramayana. In Bhagavad Gita. You tell if you have not heard. See. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama. 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 तस्मै सुमुखी सुनावौ तोहि समुझे परई जस कारण मोहि जब जब होई धर्म के हानि बारहि असुर अधम अभिमानी श्री राम जय राम जय जय रामा करहि अनीति जाय नहीं वरनी सीदहि बेप्र धेनु असुर धरनी सीदहि बेप्र धेनु सुर धरनी तब तब प्रभु धरी विविध शरीरा हरहि कृपा निधि सज्जन पीरा Shri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Rama. Asur marita pahi surana. Shri Ram, Jaya Ram. राखहि निज श्रुति से तु श्री राम जग विस्तार ही बिसद जस श्री राम जय जय राम राम जन्म कर हेतु श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम जब जब होई धर्म के हानि whenever there is a decline of dharma jab means whenever there is a decline of dharma ke hani then barahi asura atham abhimani and there is the rise of the ascent and rise growth proliferation of asura means all wicked. Actually asura has nice meaning, asur in Hindi language. Have you seen any group of singers or musicians and all of their instruments, all of their voices blending? And then there is always one fellow. There is always one fellow in that group of singers. He has his own chart in front of him. Huh? Or in a group of musicians, one fellow he takes what might be termed as a quantum flight into the ether, leaving behind all the other illustrious singers. In other words, whatever is harmonious and whatever is in synchronicity and whatever is going on very smoothly and very nicely, he's a dissonant pitch. So asura, that fellow is, everybody is in sur. In Hindi, everybody is in sur, correct sur. But this fellow is out of that sur. Jokingly, he calls it asur. He doesn't have that sur. That harmony doesn't fall in line. You will have to look at this. You see in the first line. Jab jab hoi dharma ke hani. When the person falls out of line with dharma, every rule of dharma he breaks. He's called asur. Dharma is that which holds the world together and which brings about harmony and which brings about cordial existence. But this fellow falls out of line. So in this way you can see it's called as asur. Barahi means it grows, it proliferates. What asura? And then adham. Adham means niche. All these words in Hindi and all very difficult to tell in English. Niche means low. Means base. He's engaged in all the base type of things. Adhama. Abhimani. See, this is grouped. What is grouped here? Abhimani. When these things proliferate. Bhagavan tells in Bhagavad Gita, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Vihaya sarvan kama Umam sharati nispriha. Vihaya sarvan dharman Umam sharati nispriha. Nirmamo nirahankarah Sashantim adhigacchati. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna Kanaya Lal ki jai. Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumam sharati nispriha. The person who can give. Bhagavan is summing up the whole second chapter in this verse actually. Very nice verse. Nirmamo nirahankaraha. Who is able to become free from mama and ahankar. And ahankar, when ahankar is you, see, ahankar means I, right? When ahankar is used for mukti, everything has two sides, na? A knife is a weapon and a knife is a tool also, correct or not? Ahankar is like that also. When that ahankar is used for bringing oneself down, it is called as ahankar. And when it is used for bringing others down, it is called as abhiman. Abhimani. It is used to bring destruction and bring detriment to others and all. Because of his abhiman, others get, he himself also gets sometimes. You can say like that. But here, when there is a rise of abhiman, so at the same time, when Bhagavan is telling, when there is the rise of asura, asura means all the evil fellows who transgress all the rules of dharma, adham, and then there is the influx of all the negative traits, all the base traits in a person. And then abhiman, among all of them now, abhiman. All of these things he tells. And who is speaking? Bhagavan Shiva is speaking to Parvati. He says, Karahi aniti. People engage in all aniti. Aniti means all wrong things. Niti means that which is proper, which is right, which is correct, righteous, which is right from all standpoints. Aniti is the opposite. Jai nahi barani. And it has come to a point where it is indescribable. That aniti has become indescribable now. Sidahi biprathenu suradharani. And when there falls on the earth torment, kashta, Torment means all pain and sorrows. On who? All people of the earth, Dharani, then Sura, the gods, Vipra, all the learned ones. When sorrows come to them from all sides. Taba taba, then. Then means then. Prabhu, Dhari, Vivida Sarir. Bhagwan takes various forms in all those times. Whenever, in all those times. Dharahi kripa nidhi sajjana pira. Harahi kripa nidhi sajjana pira. When he takes those forms at those different periods in history, what he does? Kripanidhi, that most wonderful ocean of compassion, Bhagwan Ram, or the Lord, Ishvara, he removes the sorrows and pains of Sajjana, means all the good people. Asuramari, he eliminates all these asuras, all the wicked ones who we just saw, asura. Thapahi suranha, and he again puts things under the control of sura, the gods, means the illustrious ones. The punyavan. Rakhahi nija shruti setu, and he establishes the rule according to the shruti. Because over a long period of time, when this thing happens, people forget about shruti. People forget about scriptures and all. What becomes the scriptures? Well, whatever the president says, that is scriptures. Everybody follows. And then that becomes shruti. Then, Jagabistarahi Bisada Jasa Rama Janmakara Hetu. Jagabistarahi Bisada Jasa. And Bhagwan's unsullied, most worthy fame is spread all across the earth, all across the world. In other words, people come back to the worshipping of Bhagwan Ram, knowing that he is the Ishvara, the Lord of the universe. This is the cause for the Janma of Bhagwan Ram. Rama Janmakara Hetu. Okay. Now, where have you heard? Well, you have heard. I know everybody has heard. Everywhere if people don't know any verses in Gita, they know these two verses. Look at this. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, abhyathanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Paritrana विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम्
श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम
धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे
श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम
श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम
श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम श्रीकृष्ण
शरणं मम यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिः when there is a glani of dharma, when there is a waning of dharma. And here जब जब होई धर्म की क्या है हानि, when there is a destruction of dharma, when there is a waning of dharma there, when there is a destruction of dharma, hani, loss. Hani means also loss, and the loss of dharma. So the two amount to one and same. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत, ओ भारत, when there is a waning of dharma, then or transgression of dharma also glani, then abhyuthanam dharmasya, and then there is a rise of adharma. And here barihi asura, rise of asuras, adhama, abhimani, all the animalistic behaviors take over, adhama, like that. Then परित्राणाय साधूनाम धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे परित्राणाय साधूनाम विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम. So same whatever is being said there in the Bhagavad Gita, exact thing Bhagwan Shiva is now telling it to Parvati ji. करहिय नीति जाई नहीं बरनी सीदहि विप्र धेनु सुर धरनी तब तब प्रभु धरि विविध शरीरा हरहि Kripanidhi Sajjana Pira, to remove the pain of the good people. Paritranaya Sadhunam, to protect the good people. When they are protected, their pain, their sorrows, anguish go away. Asura Mari Vinashayacha Dushkritam. Asura Mari, to remove all the asuras. Anthapahi Suranha Rakhahi. Again, to put the gods in charge. That is the idea. Rakahi Nija Shruti Setu. And to re-establish whatever is laid down by his Shruti. What is it? Dharma Samsthapanayataya. To re-establish Dharma which is laid down by Shrutis. Jagavistarai Bisada Jasa Ram Janma Karahetu. And Rama's fame, unsullied fame, becomes spread over the whole world like that. So whatever is being said there in the Bhagavad Gita, same thing Tulsidashi now is put in other nice words. Now why are we doing this? But there has to be some hetu. Rama Janma Kara hetu. Ram Janma has hetu, some cause. So we are also doing this. There are many questions which are left. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. Here, Rakhahi Nija Shruti Setu. So those types of words which come in the midst of the lines, those type of words actually are just mere words. How exactly does Bhagwan Ram protect Dharma? How exactly does Bhagwan Ram re-establish Dharma? Those questions will come, na? So one answer is there in this, in the words here itself. How? We protect the good people, we protect all the things that are good, and those good things I mean, remove the other things. These good things will proliferate. They will grow. Once they are protected and given the right environment. In the wrong environment, they can't grow, like a plant. Once it is protected and all the other shrubs are removed, this will grow nicely. Otherwise, it gets covered. So, it protects good people. Sadhu, he says here. Vipradhenu, Surat, Dharani. All of them are protected. Harahi, Pira, removing their pain and their afflictions. And then these proliferate. But it is not that easy. Shruti Setu. Nija Shruti Setu means he again re-establishes the teachings of the Shruti, those teachings that are lost over a long period of time. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, I told this to Vivaswan in beginning. This knowledge. Which knowledge? Knowledge of Gita. I told to Vivaswan. Vivaswan to Manu, Manu to Ikshvaku, like that, all the way coming down. And then, after some time, Nashta, destroyed, lost. Hey Parantapa, lost after a long period of time. Things just get lost in the annals of time like that, the great expanse of time. So, Bhagavan has to come and again teach. And what is he teaching? See, when he just doesn't come, and you know that in this Ramayana itself and then Bhagavad Gita, look how Bhagavan is giving that whole Gita. It's not just a matter of protecting Pandavas and removing Kauravas, which you know he's putting Arjuna and all of them to do, right? So, it's not just a matter of protecting Pandavas and removing Kauravas. It is not so simple. That is what I am telling. The Lord himself he teaches extensively. In this Ramcharitmanas itself of Goswami Tulsidas Ji, it is said that there are 18 Gitas inside of here. Starting with Guru Gita in beginning and going Shiv Parvati Gita, so many Gita, Lakshmana Gita, Vibhishana Gita, Ram Gita, like that. Purajana Gita. So there are so many Gitas are there. The Lord himself teaches. He has to lay down the rules of Shruti, or the teachings of Shruti. He does that profusely in his incarnation also. So it's not just, when we say he protects the good people and removes the evil people, and not so easy. Now, I am telling you, we have to see now, when he says he again re-establishes dharma, it means in the daily life of all people, all the correct thought patterns and the ensuing actions that come from those thought patterns, those things have to change. Because an action is really a louder expression of a thought. And if at the mental level there is the appreciation of adharma, and this is a big thing actually, there is appreciation of adharma, all the things which are adharma which are going on, people become proud to be practicing those things. So at the mental level, there's an acceptance and appreciation, and in fact, people say that is the name of the game. Everybody's doing it, so I have to do it. So there's an appreciation of adharma. So if at the mental level that is there, what is going to follow at the level of actions? In the antakarana, if the wrong thoughts are there, at the level of this gross body, wrong actions will follow. That is the idea. So Bhagavan has to make that change. And actually, this is what he's doing when he's speaking to Arjuna. Bhagavan only had to make a change at the mental level in Arjuna. Correct or not? At the mental level, he doesn't have to do anything. Arjuna is a skilled warrior. His hands have already been trained how to shoot. Bhagavan cannot teach archery to Arjuna there. He has to change something inside. And here, if you see at the end of this Ramcharitmanas in Uttarakhand, Bhagavan Ram, he calls all the people of Ayodhya and makes everybody sit down nicely and comfortably and all. And then he gives really great upadesh, teaching to everybody. Something inside has to change. It's called Purajana Gita in Uttarakhand. So like that, the Lord has to bring about that change inside. And one of the change, which is mentioned throughout the Bhagavad Gita and throughout this Ramayana, which all of us have to make, is this. It's very simple at a very ordinary level. Now see this. If you go to Sundarkanda, no, I don't know the number, I just know the काम क्रोध मद लोभ सब नाथ न रखे के पंथो राम नाथ न रखे के पंथ सब परिहरि रघुवीरहि भजहि भजहि जहि संत सिया वर रामचंद्र की जय शरणम पवन सुत हनुमान की जय उमापति महादेव की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय सियावर रामचंद्र की जय शरणम. This is a very nice verse in the Sundarkand. It says, Kam, Krodh, Mad, Lobh, Sava, Nath, Narakke, Pant. These are the 4 doors to hell as well. 4 pathways to hell. Kam, Krodh, Mad, Lobh. Sundarkand. But this is in Gita also. 4 doors to hell. Parihari, they should be dropped. Kama, desire, lust, craving, like that. Kama, Krodha, anger, Mada, arrogance, Lobha, greed. Kama and Lobha, in between is Krodha and Mada. Kama and Lobha on 2 sides. Mada and Krodha and Mada in between. See Bhagavad Gita now. What is Bhagavad Gita? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं तस्मादेतत्त्रयं त्यजेत्. त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं द्वारं नाशनमात्मनः. काम क्रोधस्तथा लोभः तस्मादेतत्त्रयं त्यजेत्.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmana. 3 doors to hell. There in Sundarkand, 4 doors to hell. Jokingly I say, you're safer reading Gita. Because Gita has only 3 doors. 3 doors to hell. Kama, Krodha, Tatha. Tatha means and. Lobha. Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Again Kama, Krodha in the middle and Lobha at the end. I tell you, Bhagavan, and there Bhagavan says same thing. Tasmat etat trayam tyajet. You should drop them. Parihari. Same word is there in Avadhi. So Bhagavan says, drop them. Desire, and now, why I was telling you all of this, If you look in Gita, this is a common thing in Gita and Ramayana. What is that? Both of them contain, or both of them are set amidst huge wars. Correct or not? In Ramayana, Ram Ravan Yuddha. In Gita, Pandava Kaurava Yuddha. Mahabharata Yuddha. And it says Ram Ravan Yuddha made this Mahabharata Yuddha look like child's play. Valmiki ji describes in Ram Ravan Yuddha there were trillions of monkeys, trillions of soldiers, not millions or something. So 2 great wars going on, and in the midst of that scripture. But what is, and how is this connected to what we are telling you? If you just look, or you go back a little bit to what we were talking about a few days ago. I quoted for you 2 wonderful verses from the 2nd chapter. Bhagavan is telling how this human being gets himself in trouble and perishes. And perish may not mean that he may die. Perish may also mean that he subjects himself to repeated births and deaths, and repeated births and deaths, and repeated suffering and sorrow. That is all. So there, in the 2nd chapter, we saw Sangasteshu pajayate, sangat sanjayate, kama. Kamat krodho vijayate. From kama comes krodha. If the kama is fulfilled, no krodha. If one has a desire and it is fulfilled, then there is no krodha. There is no anger. He doesn't get angry. But then he may get something else. Have you heard that when you hear people saying everywhere, don't give anything to the beggars? Have you heard? Especially if you travel to India and all, they say, don't give anything to beggars. It is written in signs also. Why? Well, for a number of reasons. One of the reasons, I'm just telling one of these number of reasons. One of the reasons is when you give a beggar something, of course, begging has become a big business in many places and all. The beggar may the beggar may get emboldened. In fact, they do. You give something, and if he thinks it is too less, I don't want it. But by giving, he gets shraddha, faith, that there's a lot of money out there. Yeah. He gets that faith. There's a lot of money out there. So he goes. Because you gave. So you increase his faith that there is money out there. And he subjects himself to beggary for lifetimes like that. So they say don't give beggars. This is one of the reasons. And of course there are many other reasons, because beggary has become a big social problem and all that. Okay. So this giving or this act causes something to happen. In the same way, Karma causes something to happen if Krodha doesn't come. In Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, we saw from karma comes Krodha. But that may need not be that case. If the karma gets fulfilled, it doesn't lead to Krodha. But that doesn't mean to say it doesn't lead to something else. What happens is, if it is fulfilled, then that fellow gets this Shraddha now. Oh, it was fulfilled. He gets Shraddha in what fulfilled it. And then again he goes back for that thing second time. You see? And this goes on and on. And so there is no satisfying karma. We saw that on that day, right? There is no way to satisfy any karma. Nobody can do. It's like adding fuel to a fire. But how it is connected to what we are telling? Bhagavan takes avatar, first of all. And it takes avatar not just simply, as it is said, to remove all the wicked people and save all the good people. It is much more than that. Bhagavan himself does an enormous amount of teaching in his avatar. And this is one of the basic things which he teaches now. What he teaches, become free from mamatvam, become free from ahankar, free from abhiman, become free from kam, krodh, mada, lobh, ityadi, all of these things. He teaches like this. This is what he's telling to people of Ayodhya, or what Bhagavan Krishna is telling to Arjuna on the battlefield there. Drop these three. They are doors to hell. I am trying to tell now today, really speaking, all of this is to tell, really the problem is kama and lobha. And you will see in both the scriptures, kama opens this bracket and lobha closes the bracket. And whatever is inside of there is only related to this kama and lobha. Krodha is related to kama. Desire. So now, if you see these two great wars which are going on, see, Ravan kidnapped the wife of Bhagwan Ram, correct? This, if you just look at the whole story like that in total, you will see at the root of all of this, at the root of this big Ram Ravan Yuddha is what? Kama. Would there have been any Yuddha if Ravan did not kidnap Sita ji? No, this Kama, lust. So this Kama, Mandodari tells a very nice thing to Ravan, you know. Look here. Karma is there in a person and is natural also, correct or not? Karma is there, is natural in everybody. Mandodari tells to Ravan, my dear Ravan, I saw how wise Mandodari is. Somehow, the villains in Ramayana, Mandodari, wife of the villain Ravan, Tara, wife of the villain Bali, somehow the wives display way greater wisdom than these villains. Well, of course, wherever there are villains, you see, because their villainous mind make them do all sorts of crazy things. But here, Mandodari tells, see, my dear Ravan, you wanted Sita ji for yourself. Okay. But nothing is wrong with that. That is fine. Nothing is wrong. What happened is, Janak ji Maharaj made a proclamation. What is that? Whoever can break this Shiva Dhanush, lift this Shiva Dhanush and string this Shiva Dhanush like that, whoever can do that will have Sita ji as his wife. Okay. See how very clear and simple thinking Mandodari is telling. Janakji Maharaj did not tell, I want Rama to be the husband of Sita ji. He never told. Janakji Maharaj told that whoever. So if you wanted Sita ji, there was a legitimate way to get Sita ji. You go there and break the bow. And this is karma. Karma is there, and it has, you see, there, you know that there is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Correct? In our scriptures, it is there. The 4 purusharthas. Right? So, scriptures itself is telling that there are 4 purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Okay. That means to say, it cannot be wrong or any such thing like that. But society, shruti, civilization lay down things to channel that karma, to guide that karma properly. It is like, like a river. Let's think of this, like a river. So if you say that the river flows through the Gangetic plains of India and serves the people from Uttarakhand all the way to the Bay of Bengal. The river flows and serves farmers and animals and communities, and civilization has been served by this river for countless millennia. Then what you are saying, that the river is a most wonderful gift of God. Okay. Then some other days you hear, well, the river burst its banks and flooded the village, and we lost so many lives in that village. The entire village was swept away. And this is happening right now as we speak. It's happening in many places. Right? So then you say, this river is an intractable force. Nobody could deal with it. What to do? It will kill so many people. So the same river could serve humanity. The same river could destroy humanity. And what happens? When this river breaks its banks, it destroys humanity. If it is flowing within those banks, going down nicely, then people will know how to respond to it, when to go and take out some water from it, and all of that sort of thing, isn't it? Because the river is very disciplined and is going along its banks. The banks are there to keep it flowing in a particular direction like that. Well, it is exactly the same thing with karma, This karma, which is coming in the Purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, like that. Karma is like this. And what Mandodari is telling to you, Ravan, well, there was a legitimate way to fulfill that karma that you had. This is like the river staying within its banks. Society lays down rules and regulations and traditions and conventions and all such things laid down by society for us to follow, like that. And if we follow, then the karma will bless us. But no, my dear Ravan, what you wanted to do is break the banks. And so what you went, see now how clear is Mandodari's thoughts. And where is this Ravan? So karma is, because all the time we go on speaking about karma in Gita, karma kruta lobha means this is what is meant. When Bhagavan says that we should drop these three, etat trayam tyajet, drop these three, it means to say you can't drop karma. The scripture itself says we cannot drop karma. Yadyat karoti kinchit tatat kamasya cheshitam. Whatever a human being does, whatever action we do, that action is only in the wake of a prior karma. We cannot do anything. If I had no desire, I could not speak with you tonight. If you had no desire, you could not listen. Everything is preceded by a desire. So, yes, the scripture talks about dropping desire. It means to drop this type of desire which falls outside the banks of rules which are laid down by society. And here Janakji Maharaj proclaimed to the whole world, King Ravan also was present there. From Lanka to Lanka the news reached, and there was no CNN at that time. Look where Janakpur is in Bihar, in Nepal today. Janakpur is there, and way on the northern extreme of India at that time. And this Lanka is there. See how that news reached. And all kings from everywhere had come there. It was open thing. And Janakji did not show favoritism to anybody. So that society is, yes, you want this princess to be your wife? Well, here is the rule is laid down. This is called Kama. Kama, Krodha, Tatha, Lobha. Now the other one, Lobha. Now see, Ram Ravan Yuddha has as at its base what? Kama. Now, Pandava Kaurava Yuddha, what is there at the base? Well, the next bracket, the closing bracket on this side. What is that? Lobha. Duryodhana had greed for the land of somebody else. Correct or not? This is Lobha now. But again, same thing. If you want land, well, even in today's society, right? There are legitimate ways to get land. You want something, some physical possession, whatever is there in the world, there are legitimate ways to get the thing. But you know that the legitimate way to get that thing is not what people follow. So when Bhagavan has to come and remove all the adharma which is going on by people, this is the way Bhagavan has to teach to everybody. It's not, okay, now I come, I remove all these wicked people and I put all the good people here. No, now everything will be taken care of. No. Bhagavan has to come and teach like this in detail all things. How he is slowly teaching to Arjuna. What painstaking thing to teach to this Arjuna. And this Arjuna fellow also, when Bhagavan will now tell one thing, and Arjuna next will come back and ask the same question again, and Bhagavan will not say, but I just told you that. Not one time even Bhagavan will say, I told you that just now, you were not listening, or what is the matter with you? We tell like that, because we lose our cool. We lose our patience and all. So Bhagavan tells, my dear, you drop this low. You see, actually speaking now, if you really go back, Kama, Krodh, Mada, Lobha, Sabha, Parihari, drop all of them in this Ramayana, right? It is telling. If you really go back and you do a little bit more study, you will realize that all of them come from Kama only. Kama is still the culprit for all of them. And let me tell you a little bit about this Kama, which I did not tell when that thing came up there, because we were talking about a different story. See, Kama. It is a force inside the bosom. This is Kama, right? And what it says, I want this, I want this, I want that, I want the other thing. And behind that Kama, there is something else behind, which is saying, when I get that thing, I will be happy. There's something that is something even deeper. When I get that thing, I will be happy. Happy or complete or fulfilled or whatever you want to name it. I will be happy. and in front of that I will be happy is I want it. Therefore I want it. Okay. Now that I want it is what we are calling as karma, and it can be strong, weak, medium, very strong. So many textures of that karma is there, right? But that aside, after that karma arises in the heart of a person, thereafter, the only thing that can come is trouble. How? See, if that karma is fulfilled, the person becomes happy momentarily. Because you know that, see, the nature of the world is what? This is a finite thing, and I have karma for that thing. So if it is a finite thing, it can only bring finite joy, so to speak, from an ordinary standpoint, right? If it is a finite thing, it can only bring finite joy. A finite thing cannot bring infinite joy. That is illogical. So, I have that karma and it is fulfilled. Then it brings some finite joy. I get the thing, in other words. So finite joy means limited amount of joy comes. Well, limited means what? It will go away. It will get exhausted because it is limited. So the joy which I got from the thing become exhausted. Now the thing is not giving me any joy anymore. So it leads to a second. Then if I keep wanting that thing all the time, more and more, that is what you call a lobha. You want more and more and more. Greed, there is no end to that. If it is some worldly thing. So if the karma is fulfilled, it eventually will lead to greed. If the karma is not fulfilled, it will lead to anger. It means that force inside keeps on changing to something else. If it is not fulfilled, it changes into anger. If it is fulfilled, it changes into greed. If it is fulfilled for somebody else before it is fulfilled for me, like for example, the resources in the world, they are limited. The resources are not infinite. There are limited resources, limited things in the world. So you will want it, others will also want it. The whole world will be competing for it. So if that karma is fulfilled for somebody else first, it was not fulfilled for you, then what? The same force inside now changes to jealousy. If the karma was prevented from being fulfilled by somebody with whom you cannot get angry, or for reasons which cannot make you angry. For example, you wanted something and your guru said no. Now, can you get angry with your guru? That force now changes into depression. I'm so depressed. Guruji told me no. My life is done. So that force inside goes on changing into various things. So the moment it arises, some trouble is going to brew. If that force is educated, that person really sits down and thinks about all things in the world. That force will be dissolved from within itself. It has to be dissolved and not fed. That karma has to be dissolved, not fed. Fed, it keeps growing. So really, all of these things which are happening, if we say that Mahabharata is based on Lobha, Mahabharata Yuddha, Ram Ravan Yuddha is based on Kama. But at the root of the mind of Ravan, at the root of the mind of Ravan is still something even deeper, which we saw on one of the previous days. And that thing is called as moha. It is that moha which gives rise to this kama. At the root of the mind of Duryodhana is also moha. Let us trace this thing now a little bit, then you will see. Trace this. Let me see how much time I have left here to trace that. Moha means what? Moha means to see things upside down. To see things upside down. That is called as delusion. Right? So, if we go back to our verses in second chapter which we saw, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. The human being looks at the object and he meditates on that object as though. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. Sangaste Shupajayate. He develops an attachment for that object. Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. Kama for the object. But that previous step, don't let that previous step just go away. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. The human being looks at the object. Sangaste Shupajayate. He develops an attachment. Between that dhyayataha, that meditating on the object, looking at the object, and the arising of attachment for that object, between there is where moha waxes eloquently. There, what is happening in that mind at the time is this object contains happiness. That is moha or not? That is upside down or not? Object can ever contain happiness? No! Object will never contain happiness. Objects are neutral. If objects contain happiness, everybody will get the happiness from that same object. But you know, one object will make one person happy and another person miserable. Objects cannot possess happiness or contain happiness in them. I superimpose the happiness on the thing and then I run after the thing. So this is delusion. Delusion is thinking upside down. So this is Dhyayataha Vishayan Pumsaha. He is looking at that object and then he develops an attachment. Why? Because he thinks that object will give him happiness. In there, in between there, is where moha is waxing nicely. The delusion is telling him there is happiness in that object. So, this is the delusion which Ravan found himself subject to, and then it gave rise to kama. You see? It gave rise to this kama. And then after that, well, pranashyati. Ravan died or not? Nashto moha smritir labdha. We saw? Tat prasadat maya achyuta. Hey achyuta, by your prasad, my moha has been destroyed. By the prasad, by the grace of Bhagavan Shri Ram. This is Gita, eh? Nashto moha smritir labdha. Moha is destroyed. End of Gita. End of Ramayana. Nashto Ravan. Jagat Mukta. So Ravan got, so same thing which is happening there. So that moha gives rise to that kama. And it is the same moha in the mind of Duryodhana which gave this lobha, means greed for land. Why? When I have this, all this kingdom, this land, I will be happy. Miserable fellow was never happy. Correct or not? Even in the battlefield, we saw in the, those of you who studied Gita and all properly, you will see in the beginning. At that time also, he is displaying his fear and speaking to the guru disrespectfully and all sorts of things. What a miserable thing. This moha gave rise of, in the same way, in Duryodhana's mind, gave rise to this lobha. So really, what exactly is the genesis of this whole war and battle in both the cases? Moha. Moha giving rise to kama, and lobha is only another manifestation of kama. This is the idea. So we say, yes, Ram Ravan Yuddha is based on kama, and we say the Mahabharata Yuddha is based on lobha, but really all of them go back to their one source. The same one source which is said to be destroyed at the end of Bhagavad Gita is said to be destroyed at the end of Ramayana, which is destroyed at the end of Mahabharata also. Kauravas were removed. It is moha, really. Though the predominant manifestation will be different in Ramayana, and the predominant manifestation will be here in this Mahabharata will be lobha. And therefore, when Bhagavan is saying, you drop this, really, we have to start there. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, we drop them at our ordinary level of life. But really speaking, our spiritual journey has to go, because Gita ends with Nashto Moha. Moha is this. Bhagavan, Arjuna doesn't say Nashto Kamaha. Does he tell? No. Nashto Kama, he doesn't tell. Nashto Moha. So we start here. You always have to start there. A for apple, B for bat. Like that. We start there. And what now? Like the banks of the river, we keep our karma as laid down by the society. We keep our lobha as laid down by the society. Allows you to get one thing, two things. It doesn't. It allows you have one suit of clothes only, or what? But then you go and start stealing clothes. Then your greed for this thing or that thing starts, and then robbery and stealing and all the other things. You know what is going on in this, embezzlement and money laundering and bapre, all sorts of lobha. Society allows, but it has rules laid down, and we have to follow those rules. And then we will be praised also, like the river is praised. Oh, what a most wonderful river, serves so many people. Okay. All right. So we see some common things which are happening in this Gita and Ramayana. When the avatar comes, he comes to protect dharma in this way, by teaching, by disseminating correct knowledge. Shruti, he says. He calls it Shruti Setu. Rakhahi Nija Shruti Setu. In the Ramcharitmanas, there's a more elaborate presentation of the avatar coming. And sutra, of course, in Gita it's sutra form. It is written there in short form. It is elaboration. Commentary is always more elaborate. You see? Okay. Now I will stop there for today.